What do you get when a young kid is trained by the toughest fighters in the world? You get a child on demon time 24/7. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about comics, anime, and stuff. And today we're returning back to Seven Secrets. And this time we're following the story of RMC immediately after his birth, being tossed to the side by his mother. Well, not really tossed to the side, but given away. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, go check out the first video. Anyways, all he got was a name from his father, Caspian. But right now, this child could not be here. This is not a place to raise a kid. They're literally guards with machine guns protecting a briefcase. Her partner asked her, "Is that the wisest decision?" And she said, yes, it's probably for the best. Because even if she's the leader of the organization, she is also a keeper of the first secret. So she knows what she's talking about. So she requests for the keepers of the third secret to be brought in. And as they came in, you could tell these guys were badass. As soon as he landed, the keeper made it clear that this was a bad idea. 3 secrets in the same location. Not wise at all. But his leader didn't care about anything he had to say because she was holding a child of Eva and Sigurd. And she wanted them to take the child because there was no place for a child in this order. She wanted them to take him just for 9 years and let him grow a happy life, and then they could bring him back. The holder asked her, "Take him where?" And she was like, "You know where." And they made it clear that that place is dangerous. You know not of what you speak. And she made it clear that I don't know. So tell me, will he be safe? And the keeper replies, "He will be safe. I shall look over him." At that moment, I liked this guy because he was very charismatic, taking the hold of this baby with such joy and care. As he left with his partner in the ship, we see the leader and her holder watching them sail off, and they showed concern, but they knew this child was going to be safe. 9 years later, he returned, and he was as happy as ever. With a great big smile, he was back, and you could tell by the look of his holders and the keeper, they were proud of him. They made it clear to the leader that this child is smart, way too smart for his own good, and he's got jokes. She got down on her knees and introduced herself, saying she was there on the day of his birth. And he was like, "Ooh, I hope that wasn't traumatizing for you." And she laughed. He was actually funny, but he was here for a reason. He was here to begin his training. As a young child, being introduced to this place, he felt like he was in heaven. His home was a den of great warriors of skill, and he was excited to be here. And the excitement continued because he found out he would be trained by the keepers and holders of legend, and that is an honor on its own. He was 9 years old when he started training, and instantly they realized that he's a beast with the sword, and I mean skilled enough to battle a freaking keeper and a holder. He was good, and they knew it. And so he met other holders and keepers. It began with the holder and keeper of the second secret. They were fun and boring. The first one taught him tactics and strategy. That wasn't really fun. The second one, however, taught him how to steal. That part was fun. The keeper and holder of the third secret taught him how to travel a city without being seen, while the other keeper and holder that could not communicate taught him sign language. He even got the opportunity to learn from the masked keeper and holder, but he was too scared of them. The only people who did not have his time were Eva and Sigurd. He just assumed they didn't like him. But all that changed one day, a few years later, while he was in class. As you know, he is a gifted young man, and because of this, he was a target, because in class, he used to answer every single question, and that made him a target for the bullies of that class. Some of them couldn't even spell their own names, and they were pissed off he was so smart. And I mean pissed off enough to want to fight him for no reason. And if anyone stood up to him, he would crush them. And I mean crush them, literally cracking bone. He was merciless with his fist, and he let nobody forget it. With every single punch, he drew blood. Caspian should have gotten a hint, because I don't know why you jumped on this behemoth, who simply slammed him into the ground. At this point, Caspian was like 12 and he was like 18, so the beating was one-sided, and he kept on going till he cracked bone. He only stopped to tell him, "No wonder Sigurd and Eva didn't want you." Later that night, we see him in the infirmary, and it was a blessing in disguise, because for the first time, he met Eva, his mother. She came to check on him, but she wasn't looking at him directly. She couldn't. She looked hurt, and he asked her, "Did I do something wrong?" And she said no. Then he asked her again, "Why don't you want me?" And she felt silent, because her job was guarding a secret, and that was the one of the most important jobs on the planet. She couldn't break it, but what she could do was get revenge, because you hurt her baby. So she found the bully and cracked his balls. She promised him that if her son gets bullied by him or anyone else, she would come and break him herself. A few days passed, and we see Sigurd finally building up the courage to talk to his son. And the first thing he said was, "I heard you were hurt. Starting today, I will teach you to defend yourself." Looking at his son's hand, he saw him playing with something, a plastic yellow bird. He explains that he loves the concept of freedom, the fact that anyone and everyone wants to fly, and anyone who says they don't want to fly is lying. When his father heard this, he turned to him and told him, "You know you can leave here, right? You don't have to do this. You could be anything you wanted." And then Casper replied, "Anything I wanted, but not your son." And when Sigurd heard this, he felt so terrible. He made it clear that that was not the reason. He just had something else to do, something that was important. Then Casper made it clear, "Is that thing more important than me?" And Sigurd replied, "Never. It just came first." Looking at this man, his father, he felt the same thing. His father longed to be free, free of all his obligations. So Casper gave him the bird. "Keep it." His father, of course, didn't want to take it because no attachments and all that. But this was a first gift from his son, so he had to. And now it was time to make him strong, telling Casper to stand in fighting position. And Casper obeyed his new master, but he made it clear he doesn't really fancy violence. And when his father heard this, he was happy. "I too don't fancy violence, so I will teach you to end the fight early." And from then on, he trained with his parents often, trying to make connections, but they made sure to stay far away. They were right next to him, but still felt very far away. But that didn't matter because they were with him right now, right here, and he was happy for a time. A few years passed, and one day, while in class, he was called out, and he was given the worst news ever. His father, Sigurd, had passed away in battle, fighting against the forces of evil. And when he heard this, he tried to keep a straight face because he wasn't supposed to be connected to these people. That was the whole point. So he decided to take a walk, taking a walk to clear his mind, and they gave him permission to do so. But when he went outside to the same spot he met his father for the first time, he couldn't stop himself from crying because he lost someone he didn't know was his world.